Hi, it's Michael Shimoff with Michael Shimoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. The title of this interview is called Why Some People Are Always Happy and How You Can Be One of Them. Marci Shimoff was not born happy. In fact, the author of the book, Happy for No Reason, says she was a fussy baby and an unhappy child. Her father, however, was exactly the opposite. He was always happy. Marci asked her father why he was always happy, and he couldn't explain why. Fortunately, Marci was persistent in her search for an answer. Now she knows why some people are happy and many are not. And in this interview, Marci Shimoff reveals the science behind why you and many other people are so unhappy and the surprisingly easy thing you can do about it. So here's what you're going to learn in this interview. You'll learn why happiness is available to everyone, including you, what happy people do that you don't, how you can become happy now and stay happy forever, surprising things which affect your level of happiness, powerful tools you can use to change your mood for good, miraculous stories of former unhappy people, what affects your happiness more than money or love. You don't have to live a life of unhappiness. Marci Shimoff wrote her book, Happy for No Reason, to give you the tools you need to get happy and stay that way. Don't spend another day in misery. Spend the next 27 minutes listening to this interview and become happier than ever starting today. Now let's get going.
Hi, this is Chris Costello, and I've teamed up with Michael Shimoff to bring you the world's best health-related interviews. So if you know anyone struggling with their weight, with cancer, diabetes, ADHD, autism, heart disease, or other health issues, send them over to Michael Shimoff's HardToFindSeminars.com.
I did not win the happiness jackpot at birth. I came out of the womb with existential angst. I just had unhappy written all over my forehead. And I was unhappy as a kid for no particular reason. But I was very lucky. And I was lucky because I had a father who was the happiest person that I've ever met in my life. He lived until he was 91, and every morning of his life he woke up with a smile on his face. And I remember one day I was about 19, and he and I were driving down the road. And I looked at him and I said, "So, Dad, tell me, what's your best advice for life?" He looked at me. And he said 4 words. He said, "Honey, just be happy." Well, I threw my arms up into the air in frustration. I said, Dad, that's easy for you to say. You were just born that way. But I wasn't. What do I do? He looked at me and he said 4 more words. He said, "Honey, I don't know." And it was at that point that I decided to find out the answer to that question. He couldn't answer it. He just was naturally happy. But I wanted to know, what could I do to be happy? What could you do? What could anyone do to be happy? And that's really what I've devoted the last 30 years of my life to finding out the answer to. And there's great news, Chris, and that is that science actually is finding out what it takes for all of us to be happy. There are answers to that question, and I've put all those answers in Happy for No Reason. You know, here's what I found, Chris. Happiness is the one thing that people want more than anything. It's really our purpose in life, is to find happiness, and yet it's evading everybody. Unhappiness is an epidemic in our culture. 1 out of 5 women in America is on antidepressants, which is staggering. So we have this huge problem out there. Hotline suicide rates have gone up 70% since the economic meltdown. We've got people who are going into a panic. They're feeling stressed. They're really feeling unhappy. And what I write about and talk about is how to create an inner state of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on your circumstances. And we know scientifically how to do that. So that's, to me, just great news.
Now, one thing that you did is you interviewed a special group of people that you call the Happy 100. And these people, they lead their lives differently than unhappy people. What do these people do?
Well, I found that the only difference between these people who have unconditional happiness, you know, and as you say, I interviewed 100 of them, so I call them my Happy 100. The only difference between them and everybody else is that they have different habits. And I distilled them down to 21 main habits that anyone can practice in life to raise what science calls your happiness set point. And it's as simple as that. The habits, you don't have to do all 21 of them. I found that people just start doing a few, and they soon find that their lives are significantly different because their happiness level is raised. So it's really a matter of habits. Let me just explain for a moment, because I think it's a really important point, this idea of the happiness set point. We each have a happiness set point that No matter what happens to us, whether good or bad, we will tend to hover around unless we do something to change our habits. And here are a couple examples of that. People win the lottery. Now, I know a lot of people think, oh, if I just won the lottery, that's it. That's my ticket to happiness. I would be happy. Well, what research has found is that within a year, people who've won the lottery have returned to their original happiness level. Shockingly, the same is true of people who are paraplegic. Within a year of becoming paraplegic, they've also returned to their original happiness level. So it's not what is happening to us that determines our happiness. It's the set point. And the set point is 50% genetic. You're just born with that part. But the other 50% are these habits. Yeah. I was born with that 50% genetic predisposition to unhappiness. When you're around people who are happy, it will increase your happiness level. So I would have been worse off if I hadn't been around him. So that definitely helped. Happiness, people think, oh, you're just lucky. Happiness is a matter of luck. It's not. It's a skill that can be developed just like learning how to play the piano is a skill. You know, if you want to be a good piano player, you study the habits of good piano players and you practice those. Same with happiness. You practice the habits of happy people.
And did all of these people have these 21 habits?
They had most of them, you know. I can't say that all of them had all of the habits, but they had most of them. And so, you know, you don't have to have them all. What I tell people to do, and I have a questionnaire in Happy for No Reason, we cover 7 main areas. And I ask people to find out where their weaker area is and start there with your weaker area. And let me just go over the 7 main areas that are involved in raising your happiness set point. The first one has to do with taking responsibility for your happiness, taking responsibility for your life, and not being a victim in life. Unless you take responsibility for your happiness, nothing is going to change. The next 4 steps have to do with mind, the heart, the body, and the soul, the 4 main areas of our life. So the mind has to do with not believing everything you think. We can talk further about that, but I just want to give a quick overview. The heart has to do with letting love lead. Do you have a lot of love or gratitude or care or loving kindness in your life? The third area has to do with your body, making the cells in your body happy. The fourth area has to do with your soul. Do you feel plugged into spirit? Do you feel plugged into the greater energy of the universe? Then there's your purpose in life. Are you living a life of passion, a life of purpose? Are you really living your dreams and contributing your gift to the planet? And then the last area has to do with your relationships and who you're surrounding yourself with. We look at each of your habits in these 7 areas, and I ask you to start with practicing the habits in the area that are weakest for you. In each of these 7 areas, there are 3 specific habits, and that's how we get to the 21 habits. Each area has 3 habits. For example, the area of the mind. We have an overarching principle in that area that's called don't believe everything you think. But the habits very specifically are to question your thoughts. And I give you a technique that's a very effective technique for helping you question your thoughts. Another of the habits is to go beyond your thoughts and let go. And I give you another technique there to help you with that. It's called the Sedona method. And then the third area has to do with inclining your mind towards joy and registering the positive things that happen in life. And again, I give you a technique to help you with that.
Hi, it's Michael Sinoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini-seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.